Maybe we'll get there. Hello and welcome to the Queens of Poker. Today I have a very special co-host and guest, Rebbecca Scales. She is an OG of the WPA, a media influencer, a poker trailblazer for women in poker, and she teaches at Poker Power, which I think is one of the best organizations that we have right now. I'm so excited to talk to you, Rebbecca, and hear what's going on with the media in poker, because I think that was your topic, and I just think it's so important that I think one of the biggest reasons, you can tell me if I'm wrong because I'm not an expert, that we don't get as much, we don't have as many women in poker as men, is we're not targeted by any media. Like they hardly, just recently I told you I've seen a few things, but maybe I wasn't noticing them. What do you think about that?
No, I absolutely agree with you. This is the reason, one of the main reasons I started Women's Poker News was because I didn't feel that women were getting the coverage they needed. And like, I think that's from running media companies. I think that's one of the most important things is you have to make it a social norm. You have to make it to where they want to pick up these stories basically. And they just didn't even try because my background, I was telling you a little bit before the show, was Caesars Entertainment, was where I first worked with Caesars Palace. So I actually worked in the marketing department. And this is what started me on the whole quest of women was because they handed me this little brand called WSOP, and they were like, "Hey, we need you to market this." And so I was like, "Okay." And my very first question is always like, "Okay, how are we targeting? What are we doing?" And I realized that they were not going after women at all. There wasn't even like a hoodie. There was nothing. There was absolutely like nothing. And I was just like, "Why?" I see that they're playing. I'm looking at the statistics, and I didn't understand. So that's really what started me on the whole quest was this rabbit hole of being in poker was like, why aren't women being marketed to?
How
And I
long ago?
thought, so
Sorry, how long ago was that about?
I
Five,
think it was
10?
about like probably around 7 years ago, I believe. I believe.
Okay.
Don't quote me.
And
I think it's around seven
yeah.
years ago.
And you're
Yeah.
talking about like merch at the WSOP maybe? Because I did
Right.
do,
Exactly.
yeah, I did WPT in Vegas, and I think I did see maybe one or two tank tops, but they feel like they could have been unisex. Like they didn't have a pretty neck or like, which I think
Right.
is important for women. So I can't even imagine. I guess it's been a long time. So basically this goes back, and I do want to hear some about your story. Do you want to talk about how you started in poker and then tell me about Women in Poker News? Because I'm dying to know about that as well, which I forgot to mention in your bio.
Oh, it's okay. So I started with Caesars, like I said, and they gave me that brand. And so I went and I started kind of playing at a little card house. Well, it wasn't even little. It wasn't a card house, period. It was a casino, but it's like not like the best casino in town. It's called Sam's Town. But
Oh
Sam's Town
yeah.
took me in under their wing. They were amazing to me. They had the $60 tournament, and I just learned how to play going there every single day. And then at the same time, I met a dealer friend there, and my dealer, this girl was like, "You have got to meet Lupe Soto." She's like, "You two would just hit it off." She's like, "You just have to go meet her." So she put on a lips tournament not very long after this at Orleans, I believe. She was sitting in the hallway, and I walked up to her and I was like, "Hey, I've been told I need to meet you." And pretty much she took me right under her wing right away. And she was like, "We're starting the Women's Poker Association for all the questions you're asking me," because I started being like, "Why aren't they marketing to women? What's going on? How are you putting on this tournament?" Like I wanted all of these questions. I'm asking her a million questions. She just met me. And she's like, "You know what? I need you on my board. Will you come be with us at WPA?" And that's kind of where it all started for me.
Oh my God. I love that. I love Lupe. You guys, she's in the other episode, a few episodes back. I will try to link it. I don't know how to do the tech, but I can't promise you, but it is there, and you can't miss that. That's amazing. What talk about the right place, right time, and right person to
Right.
guide you in this. And I'm sure you've been very helpful to her with your background in marketing. Um, so tell me about like where Women in Poker News, and then where you see that going and how you see that helping the whole women in media thing.
So Women in Poker News was started this year. I started it after I just realized that women weren't being covered at all. Even when I
Yeah.
was working for another news agency that works in poker, I even asked them like, "Hey, like, let's cover this story." And I think I was actually told by somebody like, "Well, that would be kind of creepy if we just have all these stories about women." And I was like, "What?" Yeah, exactly. I was
Did it,
like,
I'm
it
sorry,
blew.
did a man say that or a woman?
It was a man.
I'm curious.
It was a man, but it blew my mind. It blew
Wow.
my mind,
Yeah.
right? And I was just like, was like, I walked out of there and I was pretty upset that day. And I came home and I was like, what am I going to do? And I really believed kind of like you can't just give up. You can't just walk away because if I just walk away, that's not going to do any good. It's not going to change anything. So about 2 days later, I decided, you know what, I'm going to start my own. And I had no idea how to make a WordPress site, had no idea like whatsoever. I watched YouTube, I figured it all out, and I was like, okay, I'm going to cover women. I just wanted something like a little more in
Wow.
depth too than like canned histories. I wanted like I think our stories and our journeys are important. I think that's what people attach themselves to. So I
Mhm.
wanted just something a little more in depth. Like, let's get to know these women. Let's get to know their stories and the barriers and the things that they face. Because I think if we can make
Mhm.
those normal and we can say, hey, this is totally okay and you can do it too, I think it changes the whole conversation.
That's exactly what I wanted to do with this podcast. Like, not even knowing what else was out there. I was just searching to make sure I wasn't stealing anybody's name or idea. And it's evolving, but that's exactly what I want is women to be able to get on there, not just vloggers, not just people who are editing their highlights and doing it for a living. Even though I've watched them and I love them, they're not telling me like where are the safe raise it up casino rooms. How can I meet with a bunch of other women like the festival that's happening at the Hippodrome? How many women are at the WSOP and do they find each other? And how do I even buy in for that? How do I like now I have some poker girlfriends, pocket queens. We share ideas about hotel rooms and like we meet up in the WPA ladies. I've been able to meet with them just once so far, but that was the funnest thing ever. That Lips tour at Resorts World was
Oh, yeah.
way more fun than the WPT for me. The WPT was different fun, but super stressful and like just a different energy. The Resorts World where Lupe was like, I don't know, just a party, just like some of the women are hardcore and they're there just to win for sure, but most ladies can do both, right? They can be dedicated to their game, but also say hi, be friendly, not be clicky, like and sometimes it's they're nervous, it's not clicky. So I just think this is amazing. So this was a year ago that you decided to do this and start Women Poker News?
No, Women's Poker News wasn't even a year ago. I think it's probably been about 7 months now that I
Okay.
started that. But I started it after we started our podcast also. So we have the Real Poker Girls in Las Vegas. So that has definitely been a year. I know that because I do the editing on it. So
Oh,
I
you're
just
an
got our
editor. Okay.
yeah. So I just got my thing saying, hey, like it's been a year. So that's great. So we've been doing that for a
Okay.
year and obviously, I think you've seen Monday we launched the Real Poker Girls of London. We franchised our podcast.
I don't know
And
that
so
I
we're going to,
saw it, but that's
oh,
amazing.
you
Lupe
missed that.
told me
Okay.
there was something big on the horizon. Yeah. Is there a
Yeah.
link for Women Poker News? Because I don't have it if there
Okay.
is.
Uh, yes. And so it's actually, you're going to see the Real Poker Girls media. So that's our media company. So under that, we have the Women's Poker News, we have Poker Queen Studios, we have Tatiana Fox Productions, and then we have, the Real Poker Girls, both of our, all the franchise things that we're going to do under there for our actual podcast is under
Oh,
there.
I
So we're going to
love it.
film that in November at the Hippodrome with KJ, who's running the ladies event. So she's going to be our host over there. We're going to have the same format with 3 women. We're still looking for the third. We have 2 right now. It's KJ and Lydia. They're amazing. I work with them all the time. I
Wait,
absolutely
as
adore them.
KJ and Lydia are as your
So
real
we're going to
ladies of Vegas or of London?
know of London. Yeah, they're going to be the Real
Okay.
Poker Girls of London, and we're the Real Poker Girls of Las Vegas, and we're going to executive produce it for them. So
And
we're
you're
going to go to London.
filming their experience as players?
We're filming just like we do ours. So you know how we have the format of the 3 girls,
Oh,
and we
okay.
talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
things that are happening,
Yeah, I
having
love it.
guests on. They're doing the same exact format, but they're doing it in London, and they're going to cover Europe basically, and what's going on over there in their scene because
Smart.
that's the thing I found in the world like of poker is that these scenes are happening everywhere. It's not just
Yep.
in America. They're happening everywhere. So we love shedding these lights on women across the world because I get to meet women that are amazing, literally all over the place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, they're doing amazing work. And then KJ obviously is like the hottest woman in poker right now, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. That what she's doing is I was so happy to see that festival and
yeah,
the what
we're filming for that in
yeah,
Hippodrome.
that's awesome. Which by the way, Poker Stars, thank you. Thank you. And I think it's gonna be down the road, you're gonna be patting yourselves on the back like who knew these women had money to buy in? Who knew they were willing to congregate and play together? Like not us,
Right.
right? Yeah. Yeah, so it's so exciting. Good for you guys. That is amazing. I'm definitely going to try to get out there if I can. We will see, because I love to support that kind of stuff. And yeah, that is so smart. And I think the more you do that and the more you guys go subscribe and start watching. I've started listening when I'm in my car driving, but I definitely am going to start. Is it more of a watchable podcast, do you think, or a listenable, or both?
Um, it's both. I have to get them up on YouTube, which they're not quite yet. And well, we haven't even started filming London. London's happening in November. We're going to film it right before the ladies' event, basically. So we're going to film in the Hippodrome, and it's going to, so they should be able to listen to it while they're there. Hopefully, we get it all
Okay.
edited in
Yeah,
time.
because I was
So
gonna say
yeah,
it's easier for me to listen while I'm playing. Like if I'm in a tournament or something, it's a little harder for me to watch something uh and be
yeah.
focused. So
I
yeah.
would say most of the people that like our podcast, most of them listen more than they watch, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, that's good to know. And I definitely am
Yeah.
getting through the episodes. Yeah, YouTube would be a good idea. I think that's what I told Loopy. I'm like, get on YouTube. She's like, we got stuff. We got stuff. So, which I believed she did. And you're doing the editing. So, I'm sorry for the editing on this. I literally had no experience and Googled and chat GTP'd how to do a podcast, and I just started on YouTube, and I figured if I keep doing it, then I'll branch out to the other providers, so which some people have asked. So we will do that. And yeah, I will put the link for Women in Poker. So Women in Poker, is that more like a poker org, but for women? Is it things we read, or what is the genre?
Okay, so it's kind of like a program, but not quite, because like I said, I want to cover more in-depth stories. They do a lot of fast pieces, a lot
Yeah.
of like, oh, this is your hand, this is what they had, this is what happened. You know what I mean? It's kind of almost
Yeah,
a frame
fast
thing. And
clicks
I'm
they
like,
want.
yeah, they want fast clicks. I actually so Tatiana Fox, who works with me, and
Yeah,
she's
I
my
know her.
partner in business and do everything with, she's actually an accredited journalist, like she worked for the campaigns, and like she's in Australia, but she's, had lots of jobs, so she helps all of that stuff. So we do real articles, like where we actually do in-depth things, and we do research, and we find out about these women and their journeys. And I want to know more, like even our podcast.
Hmm.
I want to know if you have children. I want to know how you get there. I want to know the things that you did. I
Yeah.
don't I don't need to know that you had Jack Nine. I mean, I
Yeah,
have those
me too.
conversations all
Yeah,
day. You know
right.
what I mean? I want
Yeah,
something more. So
I agree. And I do think the men more want to see the hands, and that women want to know your story. Like that's why I wanted to do this podcast. I want women to see other women doing these things. If there would have been anything I could have found 20 like 2016, 2017, as I was looking for places to play live in LA after playing online for like 15 years, I would have gone sooner, right? There was just, for me, it was nerve-wracking. It wasn't intuitive for me, because I think maybe in Vegas, maybe I would have had friends that played poker, but here I really didn't have any. So I think the other women will find us, right? They definitely will find the real uh poker ladies of Las Vegas and London, and that's amazing. And the Women in Poker News, I will start linking. Where do you post, like, do you post it on Instagram or Facebook, your article links and things?
we post it's I try and drive it from the web page, because I use social media for everything. I use all the platforms basically. We drive it through all that. But really, I think that the web page is the most important, because they change these rules on these Facebooks and things
It's
every
true.
single day. so
Yeah, great
so you
point.
really need to try and drive them as much as you can, I think, business wise, to your web page. So I try that, but we do use social media because it's just the way of the world, right? We don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
So all the platforms, I put on all of them, because I say all the time, we have two different things happening in poker. So we have poker Twitter, which is a little bit younger of a demographic for
Hmm.
sure. And then we have Facebook, which is where a lot of the women are at, basically. And
Yes,
so it's
I've
like
noticed that.
there's two different things. And so I'm like, okay, we have to market to both of this, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
your expertise. So I'm sure this is going to be wildly successful, all of the things with these powerhouse ladies. And you did say you're looking for another lady in London.
Yeah, we are going to look for another lady in
Poker
London.
playing
One
ladies
more.
in London. If there's anybody on here, definitely go read poker Women in Poker News, and get a hold of them if you think you might be the right person or whatever. Is there a process for that, or you guys are just internally?
Uh, We haven't quite got there. We just launched the brand itself on Monday. So we
Oh,
have until
exciting.
November to like get everything in place basically. But we're definitely working on it. I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
It might,
that's our next thing coming out.
that might be cool is the search for the right lady and
Right.
maybe, yeah. So you're already ahead of that, I'm sure. Yeah, I could probably learn a lot from you for this podcast for sure. Okay, so you you do work for Poker Power.
I do.
And you also said, I believe the two things missing in poker for women, which I love, are media for sure. And the other one we'll talk about later, the staking for women at high level. We were just talking about how it is missing for women. And what do you think Poker Power does? I know we discussed it a little before, but I feel like they've almost, for me, uh, gotten rid of the stigma, right?
100%. That is
Okay, good,
exactly what I feel is
good.
that it's making it a social norm. It's making it acceptable for women. We go to corporate settings. We teach the most high level women. I mean, I've taught at the New York Stock Exchange. I've taught at Amazon. I've taught at, I mean, but we've taught in 44 different countries. I mean, we literally have taught everywhere and we teach mainly corporate women all the time. So I'm literally going on a plane tomorrow morning and flying out to go teach some more women to play poker in San Diego. So
Wow.
it does, it definitely removes the stigma and it makes it okay, like to sit at this table and it, in business, this is so important. You know what I mean? Men have been playing poker and making deals at poker tables for since the beginning of time. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, even at the New York Stock Exchange, we actually taught in the Hamilton room, which has been there since Hamilton. And it's a poker room. They have a poker room that's been there since then. Women were not allowed in it, by the way.
Until when?
I would like to tell you it was a long time ago, but it was within the last 15 years. It was, yeah.
Wow. And
And even
is it
then,
used regularly for poker games at the New York
it
Stock
is. It's
Exchange?
used for poker games regularly. But it even when they said women could attend, because then it was no longer like PC not to, they basically had the doorman that wouldn't stop on the floor, and then they put in like one what was it, one telephone booth. They made that into a restroom for women, one stall restroom for women. So like there's other ways of saying you're not welcome without welcoming you.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. I hope
so
some of
it's
those
not that
women use the men's.
right. Well,
Yeah.
it's absolutely not that way now, but we love going there and
Oh,
like hearing stories like that. You know what I mean? Because now women can sit at that table and they can make those deals. They're now there to be
yes.
part of those conversations, which is so important. So I think the social norm is important for women across the board, not just in poker, like in
Yeah.
all aspects, basically, because you just have to be able to be a part. If you're not there, you're not part of the conversation.
Right. And I mean, I don't know if it's conscious that we're left out of that, or it's just like you said, it's been a social norm for so long that it just needed to be maybe addressed. But I feel like there are some guys who definitely don't want those changes. Um, yeah,
I see it. I have to
small,
say, oh,
small.
it's a very small percentage of people that
Yeah.
actually say to me women shouldn't be at the table. Now maybe they're not saying it to me also because of some of the stuff I do. I don't know. I have had some, experiences that are, not that great before, but I would say overall my experiences are really amazing at the table typically.
Good.
They
Me
are.
too. Me too.
Yeah.
And outside, like at 1% maybe are the guys, but magnify that out in card rooms, and you have ladies who maybe have one or two bad experiences and then they don't come back, right? So
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
it's
feeling comfortable is so much a part of that, right? I remember the first time walking into a poker room being scared for my life, like scared, like shaking, like a little leaf.
okay,
Literally
good. I thought
tomorrow.
it was just me because nobody yet has agreed that I was shaking. My husband told me these things, and I was like, and it's not far from my house, like 20 minutes to the Hustler. But doing it by myself, I was same thing. I was shaking. I didn't know. I went to the cash area to sign up for the tournament, and they
I
sat
was
me
just
at
going
a
to say that.
table.
And it only takes one interaction to be bad to make a woman never come back again. So like I've had people even like snap like that for that exact reason. Like you went to the wrong thing and they're like, oh, the tournament's over there, and they kind of just get a
Mhm.
little snappy because they're in a hurry. And I'm like, that's all it takes, that one interaction for her to turn around and walk out of there. and never come back.
And had I
So
not
it's
played poker for so long and not loved it, and not I'm kind of tough, I would have not come back to that place
right.
for sure. And I feel like you're tough too. I don't think that was enough, but there are women who maybe they don't have a husband at home, or they've just I had been with him signing us up for cash games, and I had played in Vegas at Green Valley Ranch, the Sunday tournaments for $40. So I had that much experience. I worry that, and I've had ladies tell me from the podcast that they're too scared. And ladies in my study group say they don't want to go alone. They'll meet another lady there, which I totally get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand. I didn't have a husband at home, so
And
um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
Just it's still
yeah.
scary. I don't care. Like even sometimes when I go new places, you realize that you're the minority in a room.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. I'm glad that I do get women who I don't see the problem, or I enjoy playing with men better than women, but okay, that's okay. Everybody has their opinion, but I honor that there are women who do feel different about it, right?
Well, that's exactly what empathy is understanding that other people have a different interaction than you did, and you can't just basically put
Yeah.
them down for it. Like
Yeah.
we all are made up differently,
Right.
absolutely made up differently. And just because you're okay, I know I have different interactions than other women I know all the time. Even being in women's poker session, we would talk about it. It has to do with my age, has to do with uh the
Yeah.
way I dress, has to do with it. So there's so much that goes into it. It's completely different for every single person and the way that they're presented at that table, right?
Right.
So I can't say that your experience didn't happen or belittle your experience whatsoever, because I don't like to do that whole I'm stronger than other people, because there's days I'm
No.
not stronger than other people.
Me
You know what I
too.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I've
I don't
walked
like that.
away
But
and cried before because of something people have said at the table. And I'm pretty sure it's been men, just because the odds are that it's going to be a man, right? When there's two of us,
right,
we're going to be friends. Occasionally, I've had women be not so nice, or they're super intimidating, or don't I say hi, they don't say hi, and it's like, okay, maybe they didn't, maybe she didn't hear me, or maybe she just doesn't want to. She's focused on her game. I know Sandy said she doesn't like to talk; she likes to focus on her game, and she's got her hoodie, her mask, which and her headphones, which I agree with. If that's your style, right? It's not my style because I like to feel safe. I like to at least say hi, make eye contact, and kind of know who I'm playing with a little. Maybe it's like paranoia. I don't know.
I don't
Maybe.
know. I like to talk. I talk a lot at the table,
Oh,
so
good. Me too. Maybe it's social. I'm a social person too. I like to, yeah.
I'm a social
Not,
person, and I find, especially with men, that they will tell me so much about themselves.
oh,
They give
yeah.
me
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of stuff, so I know a lot
Yes.
before I even play a hand with them.
Yes. That's what Rachel said too, that she first started playing and realized that the guys give her way bigger advantage than they feel like her husband got as a longtime male player. And I can see that.
Mhm.
I think it's even an advantage when they're bluffing and being super aggressive. And you know, it's only you they're doing it to, and it's not a position thing. It's because then
Mhm.
I just watch for a while, and then I just call them down. And it's like, okay, you're gonna keep doing
Right.
that, right? So
Exactly.
there are some advantages, but I'm way open to getting more women in and not having such a big advantage. Like I like it when the table is at least three women, and sometimes I've seen it more, four or five, which is really nice. I take video and a picture when I can, because it's like, we're getting there, ladies, we're getting there, right?
Right. I know it's
Yeah.
exciting. I've seen it grow so much just since WPA started. I've seen
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
more women in the game than there were before, and I give a lot of I, I really think WPA was the game changer for
Oh,
women in poker, because it united women, and it made them feel safe. And then I saw all these blogs coming out, and all of the, even me. I've benefited from Women's Poker Association. Absolutely. I felt safe to start a news organization. I felt safe to go do the, like, I wouldn't have felt okay in doing those things without these women behind me being like, it's okay, you know,
right.
it's okay.
Right. Legends, legends. And yeah,
Yeah.
they support my podcast. I support them. When I found them, I also felt like, okay. And I didn't know, so I was just on the website sending emails. Is anybody out there? And then someone said, go to Facebook. So if you signed up as a member and you're looking for them, go to Facebook. They probably told me, but I'm learning the tech still. They are very active. You can get on there and support the ladies who are winning all over the world. You can send your photos. You can have them rail you virtually. What do they call it? Cyber rail, right?
Several, yes.
Yeah. And you
Yes.
can just post your wins. You can post your hands. You can post when you're having a hard time, like maybe if you're on a downswing. I just think it's so important that we have our support system in poker because, like, going back to the stigma, there is a lot of pressure for women not to play. I had a guy tell me he doesn't think, same thing Lisa said, uh, Doyle Brunson told her many years ago when she started that the poker room is no place for a lady. A guy
Right.
said, I heard your podcast. I listened and I said, and he goes, it was good, the math, but I don't see why we need more women in poker. And I said, because there's half of the population is women. That's double the money. And it makes it more fair, parity, right? Equity. And I said, there's more reasons, but why not? And he said, I don't want my wife playing. Do you want your daughter playing? And I said, sure, if she wants to play. Like, that's the thing. It's that stigma that it's like you're a fallen woman if you play poker or something, right?
100%. Like you go to
Yeah.
church on Sunday or something. Yeah.
I don't think I know
No,
any women who are like degens that play poker. Do you?
not really, no. Women are really
Yeah.
better at their bankroll, and I see it a lot in Vegas. I see people that, especially here, they're like, "Oh, I watch." It's not women; it's usually men that are like, I watch Rounders, and now I'm going to come and bring my whole life savings, and then they're usually leaving about 6 months later to go back to whatever state they were from,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
But I
Scary.
see it constantly. I see it constantly, but it's not women. Women are very good because they have children, because they run households, because they've been doing so. They usually can't take some of the risk involved. Like they're just as good at poker, but they're a little just more thoughtful about the way that they play, when they put money on the table, how they're going to do it, what structures, what's a good tournament for
Yeah.
them. They don't just go and just willy-nilly usually just throw money everywhere. That's not how this works for them as much.
I agree with that. And what I love is they are the people starting like WPA and like the Women Hall of Fame and the news, Women in Poker News and the Housewife, like this podcast. We're starting things to highlight each other and to um, just lift everybody up in poker. The men too. Like I have nothing against the men in poker. It's the people,
Oh,
whatever
absolutely not.
gender. Yeah. It's the ones that don't want us here. That's who I have a problem with.
Yeah. So and I think sometimes equality, like, I don't know that in my lifetime, I will see equality in numbers. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when I sit at the table, I get treated fairly. I'm talking about when people want to enter this, whether it's a media company, whether a woman wants to work for a poker organization, she isn't pushed down, and that her voice is just as loud, or if she wants to have a voice, that's what I'm
Hmm.
talking equality in poker. I don't know
Okay.
that we'll get to the exact numbers before I die. That's for sure. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's probably not going to happen. It's a slow moving bus, but we have to
Right.
we got to start somewhere, right?
I agree. I do feel like some
Yeah.
sort of momentum is happening. Do you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I've seen it change already. I see women now, like on Poker Org, you said they have them. Mine is an all women's. We're all women. Every one of us are women that work for me.
Oh my
So
God. I
at Poker
love
Power,
that.
we're
Yeah.
we're all women at Poker Power.
Oh,
So
there's no men that work there?
it peaks six sizes for sure, but not in Poker Power. We're all women, and that's even what I said about women's poker news. It's not that I had a novel idea. It's just it's through a woman's lens, and that's a different lens than the way a man looks at something.
Totally. Totally. We watch different shows. We read
Yeah,
different media. Yeah, that's a great point. We and that probably will bring quite a few people in. Even if they didn't play poker, the stories are so interesting about these
right.
women.
And we're absolutely never like we're not against. I'm not anti-man. I'm not anti-man
No.
at the table. As a matter of fact, so I was on WPA when we started the Raise It Up program, which I'm sure you talked. I think you talked to Christina about, and actually
Yes.
KJ is our international Raise It Up lady
Okay.
on that
Wow.
side. So she does raise it up for WPA
Amazing.
internationally. And so she like actually it made me start tearing up when she did her dinner here for during WSOP where they were saying, hey, she's going to be the lady ambassador for Poker Stars, which is just so huge. And we were so excited for her.
Mm-hmm.
But when she talked about raise it up, and I was like, we made this. And at the time, it was an idea, and there was nothing like it at the time. And we worked with men. So Alex Afford is an amazing guy and poker, and he helped me. Like we spent hours refining, raise it up, and we
He's
talked to
gonna be
men.
on.
Okay, and we talked
Yeah.
to so good. Tell him. We
Yes.
talked to him, and Alex helped me craft this whole thing. I mean, it wasn't just me; it was WPA, but me and Alex
Mm-hmm.
spent some in-depth time like crafting this whole program in place. And we were like, okay, this is what we have to do. And I wanted to hear his opinion and how they think and why. We don't. Me and KJ talk about this. We don't want to remove the banter. That's part of poker. We just don't want you to cross that line. There's a line, and some of
Yeah.
them cross that line, and that's inappropriate. But
Yeah.
there's also some fun banter, and some poker should be fun. I want to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I want to sit down. I'm
Me
really good
too.
at banter. Like I'm not taking
Yeah.
that out.
Me
I
too.
think
And I
people get
love
that
it.
confused.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I don't. That's
we want it to be safe. Like we know and the ones who it's safe to banter with. And then you'll have one that it's like, oh, danger. Not gonna
yes,
in that energy. It's way better too. I agree. That's part of the fun of poker as you see the men and the women that you know, and there's camaraderie. And yes, you want to decimate each other on the felt, but we can do that and still one of my friends from another podcast last night was live streaming, and he said, I'm glad to see Julie from the Queens of Poker is still supporting after I sucked out on her with my Queen 5 flush or something. And yeah, I mean, that's just poker. If he would have said, I don't, after like I beat them, I've heard if I wanted to play poker with my wife, I would stay home. I feel like that crosses the line because,
it does cross the line. Yes, that would
right?
be the
Yeah.
inappropriateness
Yeah.
completely.
Right, you guys,
Yes,
that's not, first of all, you're not happily married. We get that. Don't take it out on on us, right?
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah. And I've heard that more than
absolutely.
once. Not original either. And maybe it's like a cultural age thing that they were taught this is my private guy time. But that's actually why the casino rooms, at least one of them, two, have told me the card rooms that they don't want to do raise it up. And I've tried every which way. I'm always texting Lupe. How about if I try this? What should I do here? He said this. They say that their regulars will leave because their wives will see them online and know that they play poker or something like that. And that's why they won't post on Hendon Mob either. I'm like, what?
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the most ridiculous thing I've ever
Right.
heard.
Right.
I mean, big rooms, like I said, well, the reason I got so like teared up with KJ is the Hippodrome is going to be the first casino in Europe to actually adopt the Raise It Up program. And that to me was so exciting because I was like, me and Alex worked on this, and now this idea has actually went all the way across the pond. And the Hippodrome's iconic. It's in Leicester Square in the middle
Right.
of London. You know
That's
what I mean?
amazing.
So yeah, and
Wow.
they've adopted Raise It Up. If they can do it, any room can do it.
For sure. That is amazing. Good for
Yes.
you guys. Good for KJ. That is wow. When is
Yeah.
that? Is there going to be like a ceremony or something for that?
I think they've already adopted it basically. There was just, she released it when she was here at WSOP. They're the first room. So, but there's no reason, because again, we're not asking you to, out your regulars or do
No.
anything. What makes
Or
me
kick anyone out
question,
either. Yeah.
right? And but what makes me question this is like, so let's say Caesars, right? We're going to talk about WSOP, even though I know Gigi owns them now. I get all
Mhm.
that, but we're just going to go back a little bit. Caesars has for an employee, they have an employee handbook, and these things would not be acceptable in any other place in their environment, but they seem to turn their head the other way when it happens in poker. And I'm like, that's okay. These are still your employees. These are still your dealers. These are still things. These things still exist, and you can't just turn away. You can't just be like, oh, it doesn't exist. I'm
Right.
like, those rules apply across the board. So we're not asking them to do anything out of the norm. We're just saying you have to act this way in life in general. Like you
Yeah.
can't cross these lines. This is not okay.
And you guys crafted it perfectly because I feel like it gives them this structure from which to act, and then everybody's clear. They definitely would get more ladies coming because I do look at, if I'm going to play in another city, I look at the list on WPA and where who has adopted this, right? And I ask my women friends too, how is this place? They ask me. We have to. I feel like we have to get the lay of the land. We're not going to walk in some small town blind into some card room. At least I'm not going to do that. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to have Alex on the show because I think it was you that might have recommended him. Somebody on Facebook, WPA recommended him, and then said he was really involved with that. I want him to say it to men so they can get it, right? From a man's point of view also. Like
Right.
how it actually gives them some outs. I think if somebody's making the women or everybody uncomfortable, because usually the person who's making us uncomfortable is usually making other people uncomfortable as well,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. No,
So
they're
yeah,
usually not the nicest people in the world.
right.
It's
Or
like,
they're
this
just
is
really until they're having a bad day. I mean, I've seen people be so bad that we all wanted them kicked out and they got a warning after warning and then come back a week later and they're different. They're totally nice. So, but raise it up just gives, as far as I understood it from Christina and what I've read, is it gives you some resources and you can say like, here's your warning and here's the consequence if you don't listen, not just if you do it again, like you're banned or something. It's you don't have to go from 0 to 100, I think.
right.
Right.
Right. We just have to know that your floor will show up and make us feel safe in an environment if something happens. Not that that room is a bad room, because everybody, every room could have some not very nice guy sit down at a table or a woman not sit down at the table. This is for women too. This is not just for men. This is, hey, behave yourself. I don't care if
Yeah,
you're a
for
man or
sure.
a woman.
Yeah,
Like, let's make this
exactly.
environment. And if we make it an inviting environment for everybody, then women will come, period. We're not, we don't have to make this, you know what I mean? That's what Raise It Up was supposed to
Totally.
be about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
For
under a women's
every, yeah.
organization.
Yeah.
But if
It's
you
for,
make it
yeah.
better for everyone, the
Right.
women will show up. They feel
And
safe.
that's what I want with this podcast. That's what we wanted when we started it. And that's it's just the most important thing is that there are some boundaries of it's not the Wild West anymore. This is not, they're not saloons. Like we have to have poker is a serious sport, so there has to be boundaries, no matter if you're at the
Well,
WSOP or a small card room or wherever, I think.
Well, so we did research. This wasn't just, again, this wasn't out of anything. So we actually, WPT had did a convention for women, and this was back probably right after WPA had started too. And so the three things that basically came out of this, and it's brought like all the top women, basically. I was lucky enough just to kind of straggle along, and it happened to be with Lupe, and she was just like, come with me, let's do this. And so I went, and so but we figured out, like, okay, these are the barriers that women are facing. And it was, number one was harassment or perceived harassment, whether it was true or not. They believed it to be true. It was that the social norm that we were talking about, which I think we're covering with Poker Power.
Yeah.
And then it was like structures, time, and money, basically, because women have different things like children, and they're usually raising households, and we had a lot of single moms. Or I'll tell you, the first time I ever played a real tournament,
Yes.
I did not know that you had to stay for that many hours. And around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was like, oh, I gotta go pick my kids up. They're like, you can't leave, you're winning. And I'm like, I can't, I know, I gotta go. And I had to get up and walk away. I had no idea. That's how naive I was about it. Didn't know whatsoever. I was like, so I had to leave my
I
chips
love
there.
that. Wow. And then it's got to get blinded out. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
can
at the
see
time, I
that.
didn't know what that meant at all. Like, that meant
Yeah.
nothing to me at the time.
Right. You're like, sorry, kids trump everything. Yeah, I totally
Yeah,
get
pretty much.
that.
So,
Yeah,
yeah. So
that's
women just have
amazing.
different barriers that people
Yeah.
don't think about, just to show up at the table. Just for me
Yeah.
to go to the table when my kids were, it's a whole different experience
Yeah.
to walk out the door.
And I couldn't. I did not want to be that mom. I don't think my husband would have been supportive at all. Plus, I worked full time, put myself through school, and then just as I was graduating, my daughter was born, I got pregnant. So there was always like juggling and getting her to school and nannies and uh, daycare and all that stuff. Like I just couldn't even imagine. I'm going to go play poker in the middle of the day, or even make your own dinner. I'm going to be out there. Like I just can't imagine, but yet men find time for that, right? It's on me that I did not
Absolutely.
find the time, but I didn't see anybody else doing that either. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, not all women have, not all women have kids, and there's different circumstances, obviously, right? Like lots of people. And I'm in a different part in my life. My kids are grown now.
Me too.
So this is one of the reasons I've taken out a media company and now I'm
Yes.
like, oh, okay, I'm going to do these poker things. I'm going to do the things I love. I get to do now because my kids are older and I have the ability to now. They're
Yeah.
not at home anymore. So, so
Right.
can
Yeah.
do whatever I want.
That's why I started the podcast because I thought I want to do something in poker, but I don't want to play constantly because it doesn't work for me to play too much. It work, especially tournaments. It works for me to play, a few times a month, and otherwise it just becomes too much. And we all know there's like tournaments are hard to win. At least for me, they are. So I'm not great
No, they
at
absolutely are.
losing. Yeah, you spend a lot of time, and I still struggle with trying to just have fun whether I win or not, and not like being results oriented. Like I just spent 14 hours in 2 days playing and got like not barely a min cash or something. That's hard, especially if you're sort of an ambitious or a driven person. It's
I
yeah.
get that. I get that. I don't play Hold'em. So in my
Oh,
case, I teach Hold'em. So I
what do
know
you
how to play
play?
very well. I
Mixed.
play mixed games. I play horse. I'm in the horse league here in Vegas. It's kind of a little bit of a little famous league here. It's ran
Wow.
by Jeannie David here. And so I think it has like a ridiculous waiting list or something like that. I don't know. But
To
it,
be on
so
it, to be in the game, you mean?
just because that's how many people are on this in this league basically that want to
Oh,
be in the
okay.
league. Yes.
Wow.
So but I'm used to regularly getting my ass kicked, basically, is the point of that.
Yeah, because they're all
Because
so
I
good.
am young. Well, I'm young to people that
Yeah.
play mixed games. I'm very young
Yeah.
compared to them. I'm very new to it, and I'm okay with being new to it because I know I'm playing with the best in the world in Vegas here. I literally,
That's
this league
awesome.
is the best
Yeah.
you could do, right? So
Yeah.
even though I'm losing, every time I go in there, I'm like, this is a learning experience.
Is
I
it
get
in
to take something
person?
from this. It's in person. We
Wow.
play. Yeah, I already missed the first one, but because I
Yeah.
had to travel, but my sub was Lupe, so it's not like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah,
So,
not at all. No, Lupe talked about mixed games and she wants to teach women. I'm trying to learn right now. We've got Kathy Chang who has one ring, maybe two rings
yes.
here. You know who she is? Yeah. So
Oh,
she's
yeah,
been,
I play with Kathy all the time.
oh, you do?
Yeah, we're
Okay. So
uh-huh.
yeah, we have I'm just getting to know her. She's gonna be on here too. We have a Pocket Queens League where I'm trying to learn it, but with everything else, I feel like I need some time to just figure out the rules, focus. It's interesting. It's a little daunting starting all over. I feel like with
Yes.
a new game, right? But definitely sort of fun too, like exciting, something
I
different.
I feel like I was a little bit naive learning to play mixed games because I go to Houston. I have no, again, this is when I know nothing. Lupe, I'm with Lupe again, and she's like, just come play this Omaha High Low with me. Well, I don't know if you know SB, her best friend. She
Yes.
ran the room there at the time. It was Jan and Linda and
Oh,
like,
oh my God.
all of these people. Yeah, so I'm sitting down with them having no
Legends.
idea, but I didn't know this. So I naively
Okay.
learned a lot of things a
You're
day and
you're a
played.
lot
And
like me.
I was like, okay. And then later I found out, and I'm like, well, no wonder. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is how I started. Literally, it's
Yeah.
like with like I said, the best in the world. So
Yeah.
I'm lucky in that way, I guess, that I have an amazing
You
support
are.
system of women around me. I really do. I
That
have
is
women that
awesome.
just are, yeah. I get, and I
I
have
love
access
it.
to them, and they help me. So
Yeah.
I think that every woman needs that.
Yeah. And I love that women do that for each other in poker. Like help each other and give whenever we can, right? Like help pull each other up. I think that's super important. And I feel almost sorry for the ladies who have such serious issues with other women that they deny themselves of that. Because it's just an amazing I have girlfriends I've had my entire life, like since elementary school, who don't play poker. I have good poker girlfriends. Like there's nothing like your good girlfriends, I think. And
Absolutely.
you do have the best in the world teaching you for sure.
Yes.
So, and you don't play Hold'em at all anymore, huh?
I do for charity events, or sometimes I'll for Lupe's things. Which I know you said you went to Resorts World, but I don't know if you've been to one of her like at South Point, one of her state championships here in Nevada,
No, I'm
because
dying to go. I'm dying to.
like that's when we get to have the real fun. Like we do the pajama jam and we do the tag teams, and those are like That is the best time ever. You're
Okay.
gonna love these things. You have to attend one of those.
Send
So
me the
let's put
link
those
for the
on.
next one, please. Yeah.
Okay. I
What time
believe
of
it'll be
year?
in April, but it's usually in
Okay.
April. Yeah,
Okay. That's
I'll
right
find
around
out.
my
But yeah,
birthday. Yeah, that's right. My
it's the
birthday's in
best
April.
time. So I will
Okay.
play those because they're just fun. Like I get to play with all my girlfriends and we get to be in our pajamas in the casino. Like, I
Oh
mean,
my
why
God,
wouldn't
that
you do
sounds
that,
so
right?
fun.
It's
What casino
a
again?
great time. I think she usually does it at South Point. South Point's been very
Okay.
amazing to her. So
Okay.
yeah, that's where it's at. But
Haven't
those
been
things
there yet.
change all the time.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to know about that. I'm sure it'll be posted on WPA or somewhere, but that's good to know. Yeah, no, the one at
Yes.
Resorts World, it was like some kind of championship, and I had Barbara Enright on this side and Ashley Frank on that side, and like all these crushers. And I was like, oh, this is not going to be easy at all. It was
Oh,
not, but it was a great experience.
that is the thing that I don't think people understand is one of the reasons I think a lot of women like to say that they like to play with men is because playing with these women is the hardest thing I've ever
Oh,
done
they're
in my life.
way harder.
Like,
I was, yeah, yeah,
they're so good. They know my
yeah.
tells. They know how to read me.
Yeah.
They know all these things. So men are a little bit more simple for me to play with, to be honest. Like, it's really, when I play with women, that's the toughest you're going to get is playing with a
Oh,
whole,
yeah.
yeah, the field of women is just,
They're way
I don't know.
harder. And I
They're
think
way
it's,
harder.
yeah, it's funny that some men think that women are going to be easier. They think just pure
No.
aggression is going to make a woman get scared and fold. They think they know that if we call, we definitely have it. Like we're super knits. It's pretty funny watching. And I'll ask them sometimes, like, what were you thinking? Why'd you do that? And I love their answer. You're female. You're a mom. Like, I'm like, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
they haven't met my best friend Tatiana Fox because she'll four bet anybody.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love seeing the super aggressive women.
Oh,
It's
she
usually
is.
the younger women, but I'm working on it. I'm not a good bluffer. I'm not good at being super aggressive, but I do love to watch the men's faces when they get three bet and four bet by a woman, and it's not just once, it's over and over. And
Yes.
I love it when it's an older woman too, because the younger women, I think they're watching like Hustler Casino Live or who knows what they're watching on YouTube, but they come in just act doing that, right?
Right.
So I'm like,
Well, when I teach poker, I don't let them. I
they're
teach
not
them right
allowed to
away that
limp.
aggression is one of the most important things. And we
Yeah,
don't let them limp at all. And I'm like, no.
yeah,
Anyway, I know it feels a little uncomfortable, especially for women. It's a little harder. We want to be nice and things like that.
yeah, yeah.
But we,
I took the classes at Poker Power. I thought it was in the intermediate, and the advanced, but I did the beginner, but it was fine. I love teaching my girlfriends to play, but the Poker Power app literally teaches them. And I did notice in the app when I'm playing, they will never limp, ever, ever, ever. Some of them take it a little too far. They're all in a little too often, but they're new, so they'll find their way, I think.
exactly.
I did not learn like that at all, but I was reading like Super System and really
No,
old.
I say all the time, I wish there was a poker power when I was learning poker. I really do.
Yeah.
They're amazing. The things that they do and the way that we break it down in an hour and able to women walking out and feeling so confident and they learn the game. Women pick up on this game so fast. Like when
Oh,
we teach them, you can see the light bulb.
yeah.
I will be teaching my teaching table, and within a few minutes, I'm like, okay, they've got it already.
Yeah. Yeah. That was me. I picked up on it really fast and I knew that I really loved it really fast. I was like, oh, I could do this. This makes a lot of sense. And I think my strength is reading people, feeling the
Mine too.
energy. Yeah. So that's what I think. I'm not very strong at math, though. I'm trying to learn. I'm learning the solvers, not my favorite thing. um,
That's not me either. There's some
no.
people at Poker Power that are amazing. Tammy Edmond is one of our teachers. That's her. She's a GTO player. She
Okay.
knows all the solvers. She knows everything in and out. I am more
That's,
of like you. I'm more like I can read you very well. Typically, I
yeah.
can, and I know ranges and I can tell where you're at. Typically, tell where I'm at. That's most important, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and then too, like I play like when you play horse or whatever, it's a limit game, so you have to learn a lot of other strategies too. There's a lot more that goes into that
Is
when you're
horses a
learning.
bunch of different games? Is that the one where it's like Hold'em? What was it?
Exactly.
Omaha, Raz?
Uh, Raz, stud, high, low.
The E is what
Uh,
at the end?
that's stud,
Stud.
high, low. Oh,
Oh,
there's
okay.
Omaha, high, low. Omaha, high,
Okay.
low. So it's
So Hold'em.
horses. Yes.
Omaha, regular Omaha, then stud, then Raz,
No,
and
then
then
Raz. No, Raz. That's the R.
R
HORSC. Yeah.
S E. And the E is the high-low Omaha
Is this no,
at the
the
end.
E is
Oh,
stud 8 or better.
oh, okay. And then so
Yeah.
they rotate each round.
So you play 8 hands, and
Okay.
then they have those little markers they throw out, and then after 8 hands, you go on to the next game.
Oh, I gotta
It
try
used
that.
to go, it used to go totally in order, but I've seen lately casinos trending where they kind of like they draw for which game they're going to play first. But
Okay.
typically, it used to go right in order. But whatever game you start on, you're going to follow that pattern basically,
Okay.
whatever should be after it. So
So it's not
in the
always,
horse,
oh, it is HORSE, but you might not know where you're starting.
yeah, it might not start on Hold'em.
Okay. Is
So
that
and
cash
most
or
this no, it's a tournament.
tournaments? Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Tournaments, yeah.
Most of them are what?
Um, I would say most horse players can't stand Hold'em anyways. They don't care if you take the Hold'em and you don't play it first. It doesn't
Okay.
matter. That's why you see a lot more rows and torse and like all these other things, because most mixed players could not care about Hold'em whatsoever. They get bored to death in it.
Is that why you don't like it? You feel like it's boring?
Um, well, you have to fold a lot, right?
Yeah, I'm starting
um,
to feel that's why I'm not playing as much. I do get bored just sitting there trying to stay focused for that long.
uh, I have a hard time because I've multitasked my whole life, right? I've had 3 children, I've ran businesses,
Yeah,
I got my master's degree. Like I've never stopped in
same.
my life. So
Yeah.
stopping at a table is really hard. So I'll do fine. I usually make it past the rebuy point, whatever. And then, but then I'll start paying attention to my phone and paying attention to you and looking
Yeah.
at the wall and seeing what my neighbor's doing and like all the
Listening
things
to
I should not be
podcasts,
doing.
talking to
Yeah.
my friend. Yeah, the
Yes.
same thing. The
Yes.
same thing.
And I know better. I
Yeah.
teach it. I absolutely know better. So that's why I'm like, okay, this is not my strong suit. So I need something that has a little more interaction for my brain. And I know that.
Mhm.
So that's why I went into mixed games. So after I learned them from Lupe, I was like, okay, this was an easy transition for me because it's just more stimulating to me. That's why.
So the transition from one type to the next, I'm going to ask Lupe to send me the info when she starts teaching her classes because I think she said she was going to do some online. Yeah.
Yes, she is. And she's an amazing teacher.
Okay.
You
Oh, I can
couldn't ask for
imagine.
better.
Yeah. Okay. I want to learn them. I'm starting to learn. I'm learning PLO and the
Okay.
one with the high low. So it's a start.
Yeah.
I
That's how
have
I
a
learned.
bunch. Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm
Yeah.
excited. Thank you.
I didn't start with all the other ones.
Yeah. This has been so awesome. I don't want to get out of here without talking about your second major thing, which was the media thing. I feel like we covered. If there's anything we haven't, please definitely let me know and bring it up. Or the staking at the highest levels for women. Where do you think we are with that, and where would you like to see that go?
I don't think we are at all. I
It's
think
not
there's like maybe like there's probably a handful of people. I have probably 10 women in my life that I can count that have staking backgrounds, right? Like that or
that
will get staked for a
stake
time,
people or get staked.
get staked.
Okay.
Or women they do get staked, but it'll be like a $200 tournament. I'm talking about we need to be on Poker Go. We need to be
Poker
on the main screen.
masters, and yeah, I agree.
We need to play at this high level, and we need either sponsorships or staking because I do not know one professional man, not one that is putting their own money on the table 100%. I don't.
I
And so
agree.
that's like the kind of the
Yeah.
smoke and mirrors that we play. But the reality is they're not. And if women aren't staked at that level, then they're not going to be seen. They're not going to get the media attention. They're not going to get this. So I think they go hand in hand. And I think we have to change that. There needs to be either a network of women that do it or maybe some corporate sponsorships or something. Something's got to change in that because if women aren't playing on those levels, then they're just never going to get the same, I don't think the same respect basically as far as society is concerned.
I totally agree. I was just being quiet to let it resonate that that is one of the hugest things of why we don't see them on, well, I want to say TV because I'm old, but YouTube, Poker Go, WSOP, WPT. I don't know if it's ethical for them to be staking people, but I just heard there's a casino in LA that it did stake a couple women, which I love. And guess what? Women killed it. I have an episode about it at that particular circuit event, that tournament, and the one before, I think. So more power for that. I don't think it's unethical. Um, I don't know if it matters if they're staking them to anything they want or paying them for showing up as an influencer. I don't know. You probably know more about how that works, but I do know that Victoria Lipschitz. Do you know her?
Oh, I don't know her personally. I know she
Yeah.
runs what she
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Well, she has Octopi Poker, which is an app, great app. I'm just learning it. She also has been playing a couple years, and she's one of the co-founders of the Pocket Queens. And the way she
Yeah.
started it was offering to just stake some ladies just because. And then the lady she staked was Rachel, and then Rachel's friends were like, teach me, because Rachel banked, I think it was either WSOP for like 20 grand, or it was the Commerce after just talking to
Nice.
Victoria for a few minutes, right? And of course, there's a lot of variance, there's a lot of luck. Rachel tells her story. It's a great story. And then she does have some staking stuff on the Discord. I haven't been in that end because I'm still learning Discord. I'm in the study groups and I'm helping with the engagement committee, but I do feel like that is starting to go that direction. And I have seen some ladies come on and say, I want to do this. I'm selling this. And I don't even understand how staking really works, but I'm going to start figuring it out and getting involved in it because I agree with you. And I hopefully you or Lupe or Victoria, somebody has some ideas for doing that at a higher level for sure.
Right.
Because like I don't know if Chrissy Foxon is staked, but I feel like I mean she showed us what she can do. Imagine if she wasn't able to buy in. I don't know what her bankroll, I don't know much about her except I've watched her play and she's amazing, right? And
Right.
at her young age, young to me, she's young, but I think she's like in her 30s or something. If women could be who maybe don't have that bankroll, wasn't there was a lady who was staked also, I think she's Japanese. Do you know who I mean? I think she
Mhm.
made the final table of the WSOP this past year also, the ladies event. I'm blanking on her
Oh,
name.
oh, I know who exactly you're talking about. She made it
Yeah.
2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe she
Yeah.
did get staked for the second time. So she definitely made it 2 years in a row. And she
Yeah.
won this time, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't, maybe she wasn't staked, but I know she was brand new and she was in the Queens and just learning and boom, but like she caught on fast. So I agree with you. The staking is an important thing. And I just don't, I hope we're going to see that soon. I really,
I hope so too, because we have, but see, that's why it's important for like Poker News or Poker Org or even my organization. We have to cover women because that's
yes,
how they get people to know about these women that are amazing, that are good at the game, and that, that they can play at that level. Because the women I know that sit at a poker table, I hate to say this, but they're like, not because it's a bad thing, but because they're just smart. Like most women I know that play poker, they're at a different level than most women I know.
totally. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
they're analytical. They think things out, you know what I mean? And so they can hold their own at any poker table. That's never the issue. But they don't always have the pockets to go rebuy 27 times if that's their angle or their thing, you know what
Right,
I mean? Or before the rebuy.
right.
Like they don't always have those because they have, like I said, they're running households and
And
doing other things.
they're not going to also because they also know like uh they get the bankroll stuff, they get the variance, they get buying in too late versus like they get that
Right.
stuff. I think they're more reasonable and not so impulsive for the most part,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and I think I saw Jessica Veerling on Facebook. You probably saw that. She was at Poker Masters saying, I'm going to do this, but I need this staking," which is good. Watching your
I think just,
bankroll.
well, and I think too for women, we've almost been taught not to ask too. I know it's uncomfortable for even for me. This is
Yeah,
really hard for me to do. Like to
yeah,
say, okay, I want to be steak with God. I don't like it feels very strange to me, but it does not feel strange to men at all. It does not feel strange for
yeah.
them
That's a
to put
good
this
point.
up, to ask for
Yeah,
money, to be like, hey, I'm good enough to play this. And I've seen men that I could beat every single day that get staked.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
just like, I'm like, okay, well, what's the difference? And the only difference is my sex. That's what it is.
I agree
That's
with
literally
that,
the
and
only difference.
I do think it's harder for us. I don't know why, but I could see myself if I was going to ask to feel so much pressure, and if I didn't win, to feel like just so like I let people down or something. That just seems like pretty daunting to me. Do you think
It
that's part of it?
I think women in general, like I think even when Jamie Kerstetter was coming, she was playing the final table, or even Kristen Fox and making as far as she does. Even if we separate it and they say they won't, they're like, well, I'm just a player. And I get all that. I get women that just want to be players and they're like, I don't want it to be by my sex. I totally understand that. But I still think they kind of carry that weight on their shoulders because everybody reminds them all the time that you're a woman that went this far, that nobody else is here, and that you're the only one in the room. And so you're wearing that no matter what. And you're thinking about it and you're like, they're gonna judge me harshly for any move I make. I'm gonna be on TV. And if I just, poker's a long game, you know what I mean? And if they just show one little blunder, then, she feels the weight of the world on her shoulders for women in general. I think that's really hard. And they're gonna get judged horribly. I don't know if you're on poker Twitter, but that's enough to make anybody.
Oh yeah, I try not to, but like Kristen Foxen did so amazingly well. And then you have all these people judging her last hand. It's like you get that far and then you get to say your experience. Like I think she played amazingly well. Yeah, she just killed it better than any woman has done, right? Was it Barbara Enright made
Barbara Enright, but I'm not taking away from anything Barbara did whatsoever. But when we're talking about the WSOP back then, it's not a different field. I mean, we're talking about 200 people, which is a daily in Vegas.
Okay.
Versus,
I didn't even think about that, how many less people there were back then. That's a great point. Yeah, I love
but Barbara was amazing, and Barbara was ahead of her time, and absolutely amazing. I'm not taking away from anything she did. Please don't say that.
I would never
I'm just saying that's just you have to look at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That I didn't know there was only 200, but that makes sense. It was a whole other
I'm pretty sure
animal.
I'm pretty sure it was stud also. They were playing. I think they were playing stud when she made that far.
I'll have to check. I'm trying to get her on the podcast. It would be interesting to hear her talk about that experience. I would love to. Those are great points that we I don't know if it's an all women staking app or agency or whatever, because I just don't know a lot about it. Or maybe I love what you said WPA is doing and Poker Power and all of us just getting us to unite, right? And if there is an entity, Lupe and I talked about this, if there's a women's entity that is fracturing or splitting off and doesn't want everybody to be united, then that's fine. Just let them do their thing and everybody else can be united, right? And everyone has their own little thing, but I just think I said this on Lupe's, if we keep fractioning ourselves off in if you're pinning yourself against other women, like we're definitely undermining the good of all of us. I just don't see the need.
I'm with you. I think that it hurts us more than it helps us because women are held to a different standard in everything. I don't care what you're doing. I mean, look at our vice president right now. She's being held to a different standard than anybody else, right? Like her accomplishments aren't good enough. I've even seen men say, she hasn't done anything. And I'm like, you didn't make it to vice president, not do anything. I don't care what you say. Like, you don't have to like her or not like her. I'm just saying that doesn't happen. But that's the same thing with women. We get held accountable. So even being on WPA, I get phone calls. And if one woman acts up in the WSOP, they call me like I'm supposed to have the answers. And I'm like, we don't answer for all women, but at the same time, we're united. And it's made a difference. I know from the industry point, they listen to us now when we walk in the room. So if people think that it does not benefit us, it absolutely has benefited every single woman. They weren't listening to us. They were it wasn't worth it to them. And I understand. At the end of the day, they're running businesses as return on investment. But we've proven to them that, hey, we can fill these seats. And we do every time. We fill them. We show up. We do our thing, So we still need to work on better structures, better times for women, because they like to put them on a Tuesday morning at 11 when women are working and stuff.
Or Mother's Day.
You say that
weekend,
Yes, that's how it started, which is crazy, right?
It really did. They really had, I think it was a seniors event for WSOC circuit here on Mother's Day.
Really? Oh, well, the very first WSOP where they let ladies play, which I think was 6 years after, was put on Mother's Day.
What? Like a gift
was
to
put
us?
on.
Oh my God,
it was absolutely.
I didn't know that.
It was no, it was because their husbands were going to be here, so they were just kind of doing this, oh, here you go, we're being this is our little charity gift to you guys.
Oh my God, I didn't know that history. So you can bring your
on Mother's Day,
because they were trying not to lose the men to Mother's Day brunch, or the one day some mothers get. Oh, that's dirty.
Absolutely.
That is
So they gave us this little tournament
shady.
on Mother's Day.
Oh my God, that was the first women's WSOP really event?
That's what Lupe said was on Mother's Day. Yeah.
Wow. I believe that for sure, that they don't have any problems doing it on Mother's Day.
Right.
Wow. Wow. And I heard a couple ladies at that seniors event because I went, my family was fine. They said, yeah, it's my Mother's Day. I want to play the seniors event. But it's not fair for the ladies that do have like a thing they do every year, or it's the only time they see. I know some of my girlfriends get their kids coming up from out of town and they're not going to go play a tournament on a,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. It's kind
Well,
of
that's why I think the industry sometimes has set themselves up for failure too, and they can keep us in that box when they do that. Because if they put a tournament at a really bad time, and then you have a ladies tournament at 11, but then you have a really good mixed tournament, mixed field, I mean, guaranteed 2 hours later. Well, women aren't stupid. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
They're
yeah,
going to choose. And then they're like,
yeah.
oh, well, it didn't do very well. And I'm like, well, you didn't give it a shot to do very well either. So
Right.
that has to be part of
Yeah.
the conversation, is like, let's really think about this, and like,
Right.
if you're going to do this, let's make it at a good time, and women will show up. And Lupe's proved that with lips, that she
Oh
fills
yeah.
these seats
Yeah.
whenever she does it.
I will
She does
go if
lips
I can possibly go.
everywhere.
I will follow. I will travel. I will spend the money and
Yeah,
support that. Yeah. And I think you're right.
absolutely.
They did that at the bike right before they stopped having our tournaments in California. They staggered it like 30 minutes because at the gardens it was just the ladies event, and what happened is so many men entered that they changed the trophy and wrote in women and friends. And I asked a lot of those guys, why are you in the women's? Because there's not another tournament. They took away our daily is what they had enough space to do more than one. But the bicycle, old ownership, maybe 3 years ago, they had a ladies event that was like maybe a 10K guarantee, and then another event that was like a 30. And I felt like it was a good way to keep the men. None of them joined the women's, and a lot of women traveled and showed up. So we had a decent amount. And those women then busted out and bought into the other one. But the guarantee was a lot better on the regular one. So there were some women who waited and did the guarantee. So it's a hard one. I supported the women's tournament because I prefer to play that. And I just wanted to support. And I went pretty deep, so I didn't have to buy in the other. But how do you feel about, should they have to? How do you feel about having one the same day? And is that bad, do you think? Or
What do you mean, like having women's
like
tournament the same day as a?
if they have a women's tournament and then maybe an hour or 30 minutes later they have another one start that everybody can enter, even if the even if it's a better structure, like the guarantee is bigger.
Uh, I mean, it's tough, like especially in these series, right? Like I worked on the industry side. They only have so much time, so they're trying their best. But I'm just saying, like, you can give us a little bit better spot. Like, you can put a little more thought
Yeah,
into it.
for
Basically,
sure.
if you
Yeah.
want women to come, you can't hold it against us and say that it's a failure when it's not a failure, because you put it this time. And now you're not really taking everything into
Yeah,
account. Is what
that's
I'm
true.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
This
they
yeah.
did on the industry side. They it's hard. It's hard to
Yeah,
fit everything where you've got to fit it in. It just
I
is.
agree.
That's
Right.
part of
This
the
Yeah, the smartest thing, if any card rooms are watching this, I know a couple of you do watch, is to get with Lupe. Like, she's not doing any of that to make profit. She's doing it to raise up ladies in poker. It's all on the episode. Like, she said exactly what she makes on each entry, but she puts in countless hours of organizing and getting us to show up and making sure it's a great experience, and the little touches that only she will do, like that make us
absolutely.
show up for it, that encourage and have us behind her no matter what she does. So I think you guys should talk to her, or talk to Rebecca here, like talk to these ladies who know what they're talking about and give it a try. And I think you would be, look at how many women are uniting now in poker. It's a good amount. So I think you would be pleasantly surprised that not only will you not lose your Ms. men or any of your regulars, I think it would be a more fun environment, and you're going to have bigger guarantees and bigger pots for everybody. More people in the tournaments, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, this has just been such a great podcast. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
If is there anything else I didn't ask you that you would like to bring up or remind people about?
Um, Just that, like I said, we launched the Real Poker Girls London. That's our newest thing. It's under our media company. So if you go to therealpokergirls.com, you can find all the information that's coming out in November. And we can't wait. We're super excited about that.
Me too. I can't wait to see it and to highlight it. And I have your links, right? If there's anything you think of, just get that to me. Thank you, Rebecca. This has been a pleasure. I can't wait to have this up and let people watch it and hear all about these things. I will have all the links for you guys. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Bye-bye.